Us now to talk about this is a lawyer, Olutubosun Oshifowora. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you
Nice
for
to be
joining
here.
us. Now, just to bring more perspective to Ibrahim Magu's 4-year tenure that is said to have been dotted with activities, it is said that the EFCC had the highest recovery recorded by the agency in the history of Nigeria during his 4-year tenure. And so many activities, like it is said, but for you, would you applaud Magu's effort?
Very much.
Why so?
Sincerely, he has provided leadership. And this is one thing that is quite lacking in a lot of institutions in Nigeria. There's been serious convictions. You know, I've been on this program several times, like what's the EFCC doing, the high-profile convictions we don't see. We've seen governors gone down. We've seen, yes, we've seen senators, we've seen legislators being held, and then also the major one for me is why we celebrate Silicon Valley and all these places, you know, tech hubs in other countries. Nigeria has been seen like a cybercrime hub, but EFCC has done a perfect job in that regard.
Perfect.
I mean, yes.
Issues of corruption, yes.
Near perfect. Okay, we could put it at near perfect, but sincerely, I mean, there was a time it was like, I mean, the local parlance, Yahoo was like the next degree for the average graduate or even undergrad. They look forward to doing that thing rather than their studies. But now we see people flaunting cash, doing all sorts of things, both on the social media and, all levels. But now you know that you can't do that because there's a new sheriff in town.
Really?
Yes. You can't do that now.
How effective has it been in tackling cybercrime? Because we see that, for instance, there's a case of the musician Naira Marley. There was an outcry before the EFCC went into action. How effective has it been there? You
saw the whole thing, and you saw how it panned out. Now, before institutions were given to the hues and cry of people, he's a musician, he's singing for us, but governor, musician, we've seen all kinds of people being brought before the law. That we never used to see. There have been musicians in different levels doing all sorts of, nefarious acts. But this is the first time. They don't care whether you're the most popular thing going. They'll bring you, and they've done it well. They brought him to court, brought him before the law. And we can follow the case. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty, but at least at the end of the day, you can see an institution that is working and that is doing something fantastic.
So if he's done so well, why do we still have him in acting capacity?
You know that angle is political. You saw how it panned out with the last Senate, but I hope this one will confirm him. I mean, he's done something. He has something to speak for him. At that point, it was coming in. But now we've seen 4 years. You can assess him on 4 years. We've seen people do 4 years, and we can't point at anything. I mean, fine, Yahoo, or cybercrime is on the high. But at least it's been curbed to an extent.
Really?
And you know that, yes. Sincerely, I go there, I do stuff there, legal with EFCC. And sincerely, you don't go, and I relate with boys also on the streets. Now, you don't come out and do anyhow. Even those who do this crime, they try to put up something like, okay, this is what I do, I'm cleaning my money, this is my legit also. But really, a few years back, it wasn't like that. People just come out, they sing and praise you that this is what you do in clubs, at parties, but now you can't do that. You do that, you don't know who's sitting next to you.
So technically, some would say that his tenure has not ended because he is in acting capacity. But should the president reaffirm or renominate him as the chairman, then he will now say that his tenure begins to count.
I think government should act right and act fast because we cannot put legality on illegality. The president should renominate him. And I think the executive is in sync with this legislative now. So I think it's something that's just going to fly. And they need to actually bring him back and encourage him to do more. Another 4 years, maybe, but we'll come back in another 4 years.
To do well, because there's this notion that when you're given a position in acting capacity, you do better than when you're
confirmed to impress.
But I think he's committed to this job. You can see the passion. You can see that. I think sometime last week he said that even those boys, it's not all about, particularly the cybercrime, the boys involved in it. That it's not about putting them behind bars. It's
They
sometimes
could be
we
useful.
need to reorientate them, because there's a level of ingenuity
Yeah.
in that thing, and that you can actually refocus and rechannel them into something meaningful and beneficial for the good of all.
Yes.
So that's it.
As much as a lot of persons applaud Ibrahim Magu's effort, at the fight against corruption, some have also questioned the presidency's sincerity of purpose at ensuring that he is made, he's taking off the acting capacity and made the chairman. Yes, there were 2 reports by the DSS that questioned his character, and the Senate rejected him, and it was even taken to court at some point. But then the questions as to why wasn't his name resent to the Senate after it was cleared that the Senate could confirm him, and all of those back and forth that we have heard.
Well, I think this government has not tried in respect of a few things, and we're not here to talk about the government anyway, but I think in Magu's case, you saw all the political intrigues, and some felt he belonged to a certain camp, and some who had the capacity to actually confirm him decided to, go against that. I mean, with the last administration, Senate, yes. Now, but this time around, I think it is necessary for the executive to do the needful, represent him, and just let that fly, so that this man can actually have a solid base, a legitimate base for what he's doing.
How critical is this legitimate base in his capacity to function as the chairman? Because so far we have seen what he has done in acting capacity. Are you confident that he'll be able to achieve same? And the other question again is, how critical is his factor, that's the Magu factor, in our fight against corruption?
Well, okay, let's talk about his position. You cannot put legality on illegality. It makes a mess of everything. So I think it's necessary for him to be represented, and so that he can have, it's like a court and jurisdiction. If you don't have, if the court hasn't got jurisdiction, any other thing you put on it will not stand. That's as far as his appointment goes. But when it comes to him functioning in the de facto capacity, like with respect to his work, he knows his job, he knows his onions, and we've seen with convictions, we've seen with what EFCC is doing, then also partnering with other, federations and actually curbing crime, particularly cybercrime. So as for his job, we don't doubt his capacity to work. Then also you said this issue of putting a strong man. We believe more in strong men than strong institutions. But I want to go on this lane that it takes a strong man to create a strong institution. Because if everywhere is messed up, you need someone to come and clean the stable. Then when that is done, then you can now set yourself on the right path. So far, he's done fantastically well. He has his flaws. Like every other person, they have their flaws. But he's done well. He's doing well for the institution. So I feel that if they legitimize his position, or as it should be according to the law, then that's going to give him a good springboard.
Okay, so let's assume that the presidency represents him to the Senate now, and he's confirmed as the EFCC chairman. What should be his focus for the next term?
He should just double his effort. So far, they're on the right path, but there's still crime everywhere. There's the economic angle to this argument as well. But I mean, we've almost been labeled like a criminal nation. So, and you can see how much the EFCC is doing. In fact, to know how much they're doing and to show you much of their achievement, look at the commendations from the outside world, even as far as IMF going ahead to that. They know that, okay, there's some effort and they see these things. So these are the things that help us. Right. These are the things that speak well about this country and project us in a better light.
All right, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.